So there's plenty more, plenty more. So after my divorce, I was going through a lot. It took me a long time to not be emotionally destroyed. I didn't want to lose her, but after that happened, and everything seemed like it was done, everything was done. And even before that, having Laura around my life in some way, like even after I had spoken to her and she said, she told me that she had better boundaries with her marriage and everything like that, and I was happy to hear it. I was actually surprised. It's not that I was surprised that she had become healthier since the affair. It was that I was surprised that she had become healthier to the extent in which she was very insistent when she spoke to me. I was actually surprised by her insistence and by the hard boundary that she set. Not because I was surprised that she was healthy, but because it was just that's not the person that I had come to know when I was in that affair, and it wasn't because, and I just mean contextually regarding me. Um, Her boundary around me specifically was very. I was pretty surprised, but it wasn't just because of that. It was because that's what I thought for certain was going on with Heather and her. I wasn't sure, but that's what I thought to some extent, that she had indicated to Heather that she wanted to pursue something with me. Potentially after she came into my life and Heather's life and found out about some of the problems that we were having. And so when that was going on, I didn't really know what to say, but I was surprised. I was actually happy for her husband, because I felt really bad for her husband during the affair, particularly because of some of the stuff that she told me that he was going through when he actually found out that she was having an affair with me, while it was ongoing. I felt really bad for him. It's part of why I stopped. So, but in addition to that, after my affair, after I had cut ties with it, I had a Twitter account that I had made long before I met Laura, and I used that Twitter account to just kind of follow different media, different hockey media, different like video game industry related stuff, related people, developers, publishers, things like that. Because at the time I was studying the industry. I was studying all facets of the industry, from development to console manufacturers to publishers to game design theoretics, game design enthusiasts, hobbyists, professionals, game writers. I was studying a lot of different things. I was very, very invested in everything in that way. And I had a Twitter account that I had made, and I actually engaged with a couple of, just a couple of industry people with before I had met Laura. But I used that Twitter account to, after my affair, I used that Twitter account to just kind of take a sign of life check on Laura after she told me about everything relating to being incredibly abused by somebody in her past, and that this person was trying to enter her life again. It scared the shit out of me. And I didn't know if her husband knew about it. I didn't know if she confided in him about stuff like that. But she definitely did in me, and it scared me. It was very, very scary for me. Because I cared a lot. And so I use that Twitter account maybe once or twice to look at, just to do signs of life check without entering the Discord server that we had originally met in, because I didn't want her to see me and then, get mixed messages about me coming back for, or about me being around again because of anything by way of re-engaging with the affair. I didn't know if she would or not. I felt bad about the way that I kind of just disappeared on her entirely. I didn't tell her anything. I didn't say anything. I just disappeared because it felt like it was what I needed to do for everybody, to be as healthy as I could be around that circumstance. There was more to that affair. She introduced me to another community called Progressive Pagans, where I made friends, and it was nice. It was really nice. I met people who taught me things that I didn't know, taught me new things, and they were good people, and a lot of them cared a lot about social justice stuff, and I was already there as well. That was kind of the beginnings of, or not the beginnings of, but that was where my heart was in a lot of ways, globally speaking, at the time. And because I had met those people, they actually taught me a lot about different, metaphysical systems, spiritual systems, things like that. I learned what an enneagram is. I had somebody do an enneagram analysis on me by his own desire. He just offered it, and I didn't even know what that was at the time. It was pretty cool. And I said goodbye to all of those people as well. I just disappeared. And that it wasn't the easiest thing to do. I lost contact with a lot of friends, a lot of communities, but it's what I wanted to do in the context of doing the right thing by my marriage. I originally created my Twitter account, as a show of devotion, fandom, devotion to the game developer known as Dynamics, who created, who developed Tribes. Because I intended on making that Twitter account kind of, I wanted to follow as many Tribes-related things as I could. It was my first true gaming passion that fueled a lot of my life. In that part of my life, at least. And part of that, in my affair, I actually spoke to her about that stuff in some ways, but it was just kind of this circumstance that there was a lot there for me, and there was a lot there for me, and I never wanted to hurt my ex-wife with any of that, and it was really hard to tell her. It was really hard. I was gonna just take all of that to the grave with me because I didn't want to hurt her. She had been through so much. But the thing with Laura, post my divorce, was really interesting and difficult for me at the same time, because it did bring up old stuff from that affair. It did. While I was going through a divorce, I had filed away my affair and my feelings that took place and developed in that affair. I had filed all of that away and just didn't think about it. I buried it deep for years because I felt so bad about what I had done in the context of my marriage. But post-divorce, it was something that I didn't really know what to do with. Because I did genuinely have feelings. I did genuinely develop feelings during my affair. Um, and, you know, it was tough for me. The whole thing was tough for me. Um, and as far as her husband at the time went, I did really feel bad for him, but it wasn't that I pitied him or anything like that. It wasn't like, oh, poor you. It was, man, I know what it's like to be cheated on. I know what it's like. And I don't want to do that to you anymore. I'm sorry, man. I felt bad about it. I did. I really did. And I didn't have a read on whether or not Laura, if that was just if they had an open relationship, or if they had an open relationship kind of, or if it was something that they had an open relationship, but but because of how much of a crush she had on me and how interested she was in me, that her husband was struggling with it, or what. I couldn't figure it out, but I knew that I had to stop for so many reasons. Um, but at the same time, it was a circumstance where, you can't unring that bell when you're married to somebody, you know. And what I mean by that is, it wasn't a circumstance where I could just tell Laura, okay, guess what? This affair is done. We're just going to be friends again. Despite the fact that I didn't want to lose touch with her, um, I knew that I had to let go, and it was still hard for me. But my marriage was my priority, and yeah, and that's really what it was for me. That's really what it was for me. Uh, I think that's a lot of what I had to say about it. Um, for now. Um, but uh, yeah, I think that's a lot of what I had to say about it for now. I'll continue to think about this, but for now, that's what I have to say. Um, and thanks for listening. I'm going to upload this and get about my day, um, at least for a while, and then we'll see what happens. I hope everybody's having a good day. It's interesting to talk about all this again.